Dark corners. Hey everyone, bringing you another deep dive from NewsDecoded. Before we jump into the absolute chaos unfolding, do us a solid and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. Your engagement helps us keep digging into the stories that matter. Alright, let's get into it. Alright folks, things are absolutely wild in Israel right now. Benjamin Netanyahu's government is just falling apart, and I mean fast, like a cheap IKEA table that someone forgot to put the screws in. It's a total train wreck, and we're here to break down every juicy detail. This is Bibi's house of cards collapsing in real time, and trust me, you do not want to miss this political implosion. He's losing it, big time. The government is down to a minority with only 49 members in the Knesset, out of a total of 120. That's definitely a minority government. And there are strict parliamentary rules about what a minority government can and can't do. The biggest news? 2 ultra-Orthodox parties, United Torah Judaism and Shas, just jumped ship. That leaves Netanyahu's coalition with a measly 50 seats in the 120-seat Knesset. 50 seats. That's not a government. That's a political obituary. The reason for all this? A massive fight over military conscription for ultra-Orthodox men. These guys have been dodging the draft forever while everyone else gets thrown into the IDF's war machine. Last year, Israel's Supreme Court finally said, "No more free passes," ruling those exemptions discriminatory. I'm reaching out to you from the bottom of my heart. I really need your support right now. It may seem small, but just hitting that like button could help this message reach someone who desperately needs to hear the truth. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Thank you so much for standing with us. God bless you. What we're seeing right now is a huge internal argument in Israel about drafting the ultra-Orthodox Jews, what we call the Haredi Jews. Now, up until now in Israel, there's been this status quo that basically means those who are studying Torah in a yeshiva, or any place where they're learning, have been able to sit back and not join the army. Their belief is that studying the Torah is just as valuable as serving in the armed forces. However, since October 7th, we've seen an incredible amount of Israeli society joining and rejoining the IDF, even as reservists. Some people have been out on reserve duty for 500, even 600 days almost by this point. The burden falls significantly on the rest of society. So, there's a very strong feeling now that enough is enough, that these Orthodox Jews should also be serving and joining the army. So, this is kind of what we're seeing right now, a point where we're getting very, very close to rules potentially being changed in Israel. The public's fed up, especially with the Gaza war dragging into its 21st month. Bibi tried to play both sides with a shady draft law that was basically a loophole for the ultra-Orthodox, but Shas and UTJ weren't having it. They walked, and now his coalition is on life support. This is a full-blown crisis, folks, and it's exposing just how shaky Netanyahu's grip on power really is. Speaking of that war, this government is one of the most extreme Israel's ever seen. We're talking about a coalition packed with ultra-nationalists who dream of annexing the West Bank and turning Gaza into some kind of settler fantasy land. Ben Gvir, the National Security Minister, has a rap sheet for supporting a terrorist group and loves stirring up violence in East Jerusalem. Smotrich, the Finance Minister, has straight up said Gaza should be totally destroyed and Palestinians should be driven out in despair. These guys aren't just fringe. They're the spine of Netanyahu's government. Their policies, like gutting the judiciary and ramping up settlement expansion, aren't just anti-Palestinian. They're anti-democracy, anti-humanity. It's a regime built on hate, and it's no shock it's falling apart. The world's watching, and they are not impressed. Israel's becoming a pariah, and Bibi's got no one to blame but himself. And to add insult to injury, it's painful to hear folks like Daniela Weiss justifying what sounds a lot like genocide, because apparently they're unstoppable. Now, I'm looking at this map here, and I'm showing it to Netanyahu, and I'm showing it to anyone who wants to look at it. Please explain. Everything is in Hebrew, but I see a lot of pink. The pink spots, dots. These are some of the 330 towns, cities, outposts, and farms in Judea and Samaria. And when I came here, Rav Levinger, we were invaded, and all this old Shamron was empty. No Jew lived in it. And there I came with my husband and 2 little daughters, and we made a world revolution. We made the Middle East different, and so we will return to Gaza. And this is when Netanyahu says, L'Oreali. But there are people who know how to make the L'Oreali, the not realistic, realistic. And we will make Gaza Jewish. I want to talk about that. You said you visit Tel Aviv, and people talk to you and ask when we're going back to Gaza. But in addition to Tel Aviv and the other cities, you actually spent a lot of time in the southwestern Negev, visiting along the Gaza border, right? And at the same time, I want you to clarify for the viewers. There were reports that over the last 2 years, you've actually been into Gaza itself. So, I want you to clarify it. We've seen it in all the media outlets. Clarify what they're talking about. Set the record straight, please. About visiting Gaza. To those who don't know details, I use this map because I like the colors of this. I chose the colors with friends from Nahal. Actually, Lil, a colleague from the Secretariat of Nahal. She was the mind behind this. I call it the Benetton colors to make the sad pictures of destruction turn into a beautiful dream, which will become reality. But you'd like to know, as many people want to know, was Daniela in Gaza? Like Alice in Wonderland, Daniela in Gaza. So it's not in the city of Gaza, and as I explained a number of times, I travel a lot, and you mentioned it, in the south and along the 40 kilometers of the Gaza border. And when you travel a lot every now and then, of the tens of gates that are open, you find a gate that is open, so you enter. I do not recommend it. It sounds very much like... Now, let's shift gears to the IDF, because the war in Gaza is turning into a nightmare for them, and they are desperate. Anywhere that symbolizes peace and stability for the people of Gaza is often the first target of aggression. Take, for instance, the church that was targeted just a few days ago. Yeah, you heard that right. A church. Not a weapons depot, not a tunnel, not even a military checkpoint. A church packed with civilians, including elderly people, kids, people with disabilities, just regular human beings trying to survive under endless airstrikes. The church, known as the Holy Family Catholic Church, has been a sanctuary for people fleeing the violence, hoping that maybe, just maybe, a house of worship would be spared. But clearly, nothing is sacred to the Israeli military anymore. So, according to reports, an Israeli tank shell slammed into the church compound on July 17th, killing at least 3 people. One of them was an 84-year-old woman, and it injured several others, including the priest. And now, here's the kicker. Israel is calling it a stray munition, like it just wandered off course by accident. Seriously? Because this isn't the first time something like this has happened. If you've been paying attention, you'll know that Israel has been systematically attacking schools, hospitals, mosques, and now churches. It's like they're sending a message. No space is safe in Gaza. Any place that gives people even the smallest sense of hope, security, or normal life, they wipe it out. Now, I'm not just angry at Israel for doing this. I'm equally pissed at the silence from the so-called international community. Where are the strong condemnations? Where is the outrage? I mean, think about it. If this had happened anywhere else, especially in Europe or the US, and a church full of civilians got bombed, it would be 24/7 breaking news. But because it's Gaza and because it's Israel doing it, the world just shrugs. They'll call it a mistake, release a weak statement about regret, and move on like nothing happened. This selective morality is sickening. To their credit, some religious leaders did step in. A cardinal, Cardinal Pizzaballa, actually entered Gaza personally to deliver aid and comfort to the victims and even question the Israeli narrative. The Pope and some Catholic figures across Europe have expressed outrage, but it's not enough. Words won't bring back the dead, and they certainly won't stop the next airstrike. What we're seeing is a calculated effort by Israel to crush every aspect of life in Gaza. It's not just about defeating resistance fighters. It's about making life so unbearable, so hopeless that people either flee or break. And the rest of the world, they just watch. And that, folks, wraps up another deep dive into the dark corners of the news. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to News Decoded for more in-depth reporting, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next broadcast. We want to hear your thoughts on this. So leave a comment below. Your support helps us bring you the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. Stay tuned, stay eye-informed, and we'll catch you next time.